Hello YouTube, and welcome back to the final part of my playthrough of Red Dead Redemption. So, a lot of you guys have actually watched the last mission that we did, and a lot of you guys have never seen the ending to the original Red Dead Redemption. We're just so surprised by that and thinking, is this how it really ends? And this game has one of my favorite epilogues ever for a video game, because when that first happened, we were thinking, is this it? Is it over? You know, it ends just like that? But here's the thing, the game kind of tricks you. There's, if you look at the map, though, there's no mission icon anywhere on the map. Like, you know, you normally have, like, letters and stuff like that you go to start the mission, but there's nothing there. However, though, there is one final secret mission. So here we have John, Abigail, and Uncle's graves. And Jack is gonna get his revenge. There's a secret mission. Show you guys it. You had to go to Blackwater. You gotta go right here at this place to remember my family.
Hello, sir. You work with the government? You one of them agents?
Sure, son. Why you ask?
Did you work with a man named Edgar Ross? I have something for him.
Edgar Ross? No, but well knew of him. A fine man if he wanted results. Won himself a chest full of medals. I think he went and retired about a year ago. Last I heard, him and his wife moved out to a cabin on Lake Don Julio. Lucky guy, getting to take it easy. He's fighting crime in this dump, that's for sure.
Thank you for the information, mister.
Go find Edgar Ross's wife near Lake Don Julio. So now where we gotta go is we gotta go to, Lake Don Julio here. That's basically a trail, to find where Edgar Ross is.
Yeah!
And I do think this mission is also perfect, to take place during the rain. Like, this type of environment, yeah, I definitely think that this, that the mission's perfect for that.
Hey, excuse me. Can you help me? I'm stranded out here. I could really use a ride.
Whoa!
Actually, I got a better idea.
And I got a better idea, too.
You're making a big mistake, mister.
One of the stupidest things you can do, you see a guy, that's packing tons of rifle on his back, you know, a holster for a handgun, and you decide to just throw him off his horse. Dumbest things that you can do. Okay, we're moving up on Lake Julio, and for people that play Red Dead Online, you're gonna recognize this location. It's a pretty significant location in Red Dead Online. Yeah, this weather, yeah, perfect atmosphere for this mission. Okay, here we go. It's also the same place where I think Irish had you get the machine gun, or try to get you the machine gun.
Come on, slow down.
So yeah, this is the place where, that bounty hunter with the low honor, James Langton, I think his name is. He sits here in Red Dead Online, but it turns out Edgar Ross ends up buying the property years later.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Hello, young man.
Hi.
What are you doing out here? Are you out visiting the lake with your family?
No, ma'am. I was looking to deliver a letter to Edgar Ross.
Oh, that husband of mine. That bureau just won't get its talons out of him, even though he's retired. Edgar gave them some of the best years of his life. They ought to let him retire in peace. They'll not rest till they've killed him with worry, and he's such a sensitive man. I'm sorry, I shouldn't get so angry. I don't suppose any of this is your fault. There's no need to worry about him nowadays.
Well, where is he?
He and his brother Philip went hunting on the south side of the San Luis River. Be careful crossing over. They were saying it was dangerous.
I sure will, ma'am. And don't worry about a thing. I'm sure your husband will be just fine.
So, I'm wondering whether she and Edgar have a good relationship because of the way that she talks about him. But the thing about that is we really don't know the type of person that Jack Marston is. You know, if you do the stranger missions, he generally has the same reaction as John during them. Oh, whoa, what the? Okay, that was that. We'll get another horse, but Jack generally has the same reactions that John does during the stranger missions. But the thing about it, if you notice how Jack says it at the end, he says, "I'm sure that your husband will be just fine." Like, you know, he knows he won't. And so it's just, we're left wondering, as, like, Red Dead Redemption fans, what kind of person did Jack end up becoming? Did he end up becoming a good person? Did he end up becoming a bad person? Or did he end up becoming somewhere in the middle? I think it's more somewhere in the middle. But yeah, that's the thing, is that a lot of people don't understand this, but a lot of really messed up people, usually, they come from broken families. They experience some kind of traumatic event, you know, something with a, you know, abusive parent or something bad that happened to them early in their lives that just changed their outlook on things for a long time. So a lot of people don't know that. It doesn't excuse what these people do, obviously, but a lot of people don't know that a lot of people that ended up becoming bad people had, you know, pretty bad upbringings.
Sorry, friend, I need no horse.
Thank you for the horse, I gotta borrow it. But, yeah, so, let's go to the next place here. Where are we going? It's, somewhere across, I believe, that we gotta go here. But yeah, what I'm basically getting at is that, Jack had a somewhat rough childhood. You know, he grew up with a gang. His father wasn't around for the first 4 years of his life. And then when his father was around and tried to help... oh, got a bounty here. Yeah, so when his father was around and did try to help, the government ended up betraying his father and murdering him in front of his eyes. And so, you know, that can really break somebody, that can really change somebody. Okay, gotta cross into Mexico here, Okay, we'll just cross through here. I could just fast travel too, but I just rather, you know, ride around here. And also, another thing about Edgar Ross's wife. You can kill her. It actually, you need to talk to her, you know, to advance the story. But after you finish talking to her, you can kill her if you want. There is no mission fail or anything like that, and so you're left speculating, did Jack kill, you know, go after this Edgar, or did he murder Edgar's entire family? You have to, you know, think about that too, because we really don't know. So the game doesn't punish you for doing that either. And I'm going to talk about this a little bit more, but, you know, this is like the perfect revenge mission, because it complicates things a little bit. Okay, we're moving up on the next part here.
Hey there, mister. How's the hunting?
Oh, pretty good, son. Got me a few rabbits, coyote, elk. Still looking for some trophies for the parlor.
I've got a letter here for Edgar Ross. You know him? I heard he was down in these parts from his wife.
Of course I know him. He's my brother. Gone down river, duck hunt. Must be a pretty important letter to have come all this way.
Oh, yes, sir. Real important. I'll be on my way home as soon as I deliver this message.
You best be off then. Just don't get on his bad side. He's got a filthy temper.
Notice how Jack was rubbing the back of his head. He's thinking about what he's about to do.
I'd go now if I was you.
Right there. Now, what I will say here is that this might sound really messed up what I'm about to say, but the best way for Jack Marston to get away with this is he's gonna have to kill everybody. He's gonna have to kill the agent, he's gonna have to kill Edgar Ross's wife, and he's also gonna have to kill his brother. Because there's just too many witnesses. There's just too many people that can identify him. Because you think about this, you got this young guy in his 20s that's coming by asking a bunch of questions, saying he's got to deliver a letter, going to see him. So it's not going to be that hard to actually track down Jack Marston. And somebody like Edgar Ross, when, you know, if he gets killed, even though he's retired, a story like that's going to blow up everywhere. And so, yeah. That's, you know, Jack identified himself to way too many people. But here's the thing. You can kill all those people. You can kill the agent, you can kill Edgar Ross's brother, you can kill Edgar Ross's wife, and the game does not punish you for doing that. Yeah, that's what I gotta say about this. And another thing is the reason that you don't go straight for Edgar Ross, the reason you go through this chain, you go for his wife, and you go for his brother, the purpose of that is it's to show you, the game is showing you that even the most evil, terrible people out there still have family and friends that care about them. So even the really bad people out there are still going to have somebody that cares about them. And that's the whole point. This game, the Red Dead Redemption series has done a really good job with the whole revenge plot. You know, revenge was just never really the answer. And like, you know, Arthur was completely against that. And every single time Dutch tried to get revenge, he tried to go after Angelo Bronte. You know, he went after Leviticus Cornwall. Every single time that Dutch tried to do revenge, that something just went wrong. He told John, don't go for revenge. John goes for Micah at the end of Red Dead Redemption 2. What does that happen? That ultimately leads Edgar Ross and Archer to John Marston, which ultimately becomes his downfall. And now here, you know, Jack is avenging, you know, his family, but would John really want him to go after? Would Arthur really want him to go after too? To go after Edgar Ross? I don't think so. But we also can't blame Jack at the same time, because Jack's enraged. You know, his father was brutally gunned down after he saved the family, and his mother also died probably from sickness, so that finished her. You know, John's death definitely impacted Abigail, because Abigail probably got sick, she probably couldn't take it anymore, and that ultimately probably killed her too. So it just shows you that even the bad people that you go after, they're gonna have family, and there's gonna be a chain, and there's probably gonna be somebody that ends up coming after you. Oh, this is gonna be it here. Get the Mauser pistol out for this too.
Excuse me. You Edgar Ross?
Do I know you?
Forgive me for startling you, sir. I have a message for you. My name is Jack Marston. You knew my father.
I see. I remember your father.
I've come for you, Ross.
And you, boy, have sure as shit found me.
You killed my father.
Your father killed himself with the life he lived.
You killed him. I saw you.
You keep saying that.
You sent him to do your dirty work. Then you shot him like a dog.
And I'll shoot you like one too, you little piece of trash. Now get out of here before I kill you as well!
I ain't going nowhere.
This is one of the most satisfying revenge moments in a game. And notice, Jack could have come up behind Edgar Ross, drew a gun on him, and shot him, but he still gave Edgar Ross a chance to explain himself, and also gave him a chance to do a fair duel. Oh, what the? I literally got attacked by a dog. Okay, or a wolf. That's why I wanted to use the Mauser pistol for that. The Mauser pistol is the largest magazine in any handgun, and so put all 15 rounds into him. But yeah, Jack looks at his gun, he realizes, what have I done? And is there any going back at this point now? So, Jack wanted to be a writer. That's what he wanted to do. He wanted to write books, and, he was gonna tend to the farm. But he didn't end up doing that. For the story, we see he doesn't do that. He ends up becoming a gunslinger, which is what Abigail and John did not want him to do. They wanted him to have a quiet, peaceful life. And so it's, the question is whether Jack Marston is going to be a good gunslinger or a bad gunslinger. That we don't know fully. I might have a poll asking people whether they think, Jack Marston becomes a good guy, a bad guy. I think that he probably becomes somewhere in between.
A dead man's gun and Joe looking down the sights. Your heart is
But yeah, I'm not gonna mute this part. Even if I got copyright claimed, I'm gonna keep it. That's basically how it ends. It's a final secret mission. But there's still one more thing I want to show you guys after the credits roll. There's still one more scene I want to show you guys. And for people wondering, I will do all the Stranger missions. So all the Stranger missions with Jack, I will do every single one of them. I have that all in one big video. But, what I will say to you guys is, I might have more of an unpopular view here, but a lot of people say, where is Red Dead Redemption 3 going to be set? And people say, oh, I want a prequel to Red Dead Redemption 2, with how, like, the Vanderlyn gang formed. But when you think about that, Red Dead Redemption 2 was already a prequel to Red Dead Redemption 1. If we're gonna have a Red Dead Redemption 3, I want Red Dead Redemption 3 I want Jack Marston to be the main character in Red Dead Redemption 3, because I want to see how he changes, what kind of person he ends up becoming. Whether he ends up becoming a good or a bad person, or somewhere in between. And I would like to see the story follow him, as he, as you see the West truly die. So I'd like to see that. They could have, I could imagine them doing, like, a Chicago, like, could you guys imagine that? Like, I could imagine that, like, they add Chicago as, like, the new Saint Denis. Like, Jack goes to the Midwest, maybe something like that. And, he ends up going into the city, and there's, like, a big countryside, too. And, he encounters, like, the Mafia, who, like, in the 1920s started smuggling alcohol. Do, like, a story like that. Something along those lines. You're gonna start seeing, early model cars. But I would like to see something like that. Like the early Mafia in the 20s. And just you see the West truly die at that point. That's what I would set the setting for, like, Red Dead Redemption 3. And also, they could tie Red Dead Redemption 2 more into Red Dead Redemption 1. If Jack is the main protagonist in, like, Red Dead Redemption 3, you could bring back people like, Sadie. You could bring back people like Charles. Like, I know Sadie went to South America, or Charles went to, Canada, but you could have showing them, like, a reaction of them finding out, like, what happened to John. Something like that. Because I always wondered about that. I always wondered about whether, did Sadie and Charles, did they ever find out that John died? That's what I was always wondering about. I think they probably did find out that he died, because they would have to have some kind of correspondence. I mean, you wouldn't want to lose correspondence with, like, a long lost friend after, that many years. You definitely wouldn't. And so I think that I think they probably did find out that John and Abigail died. Guess we'll probably end the credits right here. Remember my family complete and honor. Our honor is almost all the way max. But there's one final thing that I did want to show you guys here. Let me show you it right now. This is what I wanted to show you guys here.
Wow, good for you. Howdy.
Okay, let me move my camera over to the side also, so that we can read this fully. Look at this, okay. The big one here. Europe at war. War has been declared across Europe, following events that we still do not understand and no one will ever be able to quite explain. Germany is fighting France, Britain is fighting the Ottomans, Australia has wisely agreed to fight Austria. A noble man was killed in Sarajevo, triggering events for reasons that are still unclear, although no fighting has yet happened in Sarajevo, nor anywhere nearby, which is lucky as we are not quite sure where Sarajevo is or was. Italy has promised to switch sides, Russia has promised to cover itself in great glory, Poland has complained bitterly about its appalling neighbors and demanded independence. Belgium said join the club. Politicians and monarchs across Europe, most of whom are incestuously related, are promising that the war will be over by Christmas. America has mercifully stayed out of the conflict, and in declaring its neutrality in hopes for a lasting peace, decided to encourage peace by selling arms to both sides. So that's a parody right there of World War I. World War I has basically just started it. But here's the thing. Almost everything in this article, even though it's satire, it's actually true. A lot of this here. The nobleman that they're referring to, that is Archduke Franz Ferdinand, who was actually the heir to the Austrian, throne. And when he ended up dying, Austria-Hungary blamed Serbia for it because it was Serbian nationalists that did it, and then Austria-Hungary invaded Serbia. Now, Austria-Hungary had an alliance with Germany and Italy at that time. And what happened was Germany kind of encouraged it, but Austria-Hungary then invaded Serbia. Now, what ended up happening is Russia had an alliance with France, but one thing that people didn't calculate is Russia had a separate alliance with Serbia, other than France. And so when Serbia got declared war on, Russia declares war on Germany and starts mobilizing. You know, Germany tells Russia to stop mobilizing, then Germany invades Russia. And then, because France is allies of Russia, declares war on Germany. And then Germany attacks France. And so this just turns into a giant mess. And then what ends up happening is, then Germany, when they tried to invade France, they go through Belgium. And then Britain had an alliance with Belgium and declares war on Germany. And you see how these alliances, it was just a giant chain reaction. The whole thing just backfired. It was just, and America, that is true at the end, what it says there, that America was selling guns to both sides. People don't know that. America sold guns to both the Central Powers and the Allies at the start of World War I. But by 1916, most of the guns were going to the Allies at that point. And then 1917, April 1917, America did join the war on the side of the Allies. Now, the other thing is, it says here, Italy promised to change sides. Italy did switch sides very early in the war. Very early. And the reason that Italy switched sides was because Austria-Hungary was occupying Croatia. And it was part of their empire. Now, Italy, for some reason, believed that Croatia was part of their land. But it wasn't. There was very minimal of the Austrian-Hungarian land was actually originally Italian. A lot of it was Croatia, Slovenia, and so this land was didn't belong to either Italy, nor didn't belong to Austria or Hungary. It belonged to the Croats and the Slovenes, but both of those empires were trying to fight over that land. Is there anything else I missed in this article? And then it says that the monarchs were all incestually related. What that's making fun of that Kaiser Wilhelm II, Kaiser Wilhelm II of Germany, Nicholas of Russia, and also George of Britain. All three of them were actually cousins. All three of them were actually related, and all three of them had the same exact grandmother, Queen Victoria of Britain. So a lot of people don't know that. But that's basically it. Is World War I is a very different conflict than World War II, because in World War II, you know who the bad guys are in World War II. In World War II, the bad guys are clearly the Axis. You know, Germany, Italy, and Japan. They tried to conquer Europe, North Africa, and Asia. And Germany committed genocide during World War II. They were clearly the bad guys. But when it comes to World War I, it's actually not clear exactly who the bad guys are, because it's so confusing, because all these alliances, everyone's declaring war on each other. And if you took 100 historians, and you put all those 100 historians into a room, and you ask them who started World War I, almost all 100 would tell you that it was who started World War II. If you asked 100 historians who started World War II, every historian would tell you that it was Germany when they invaded Poland, started World War II. However, though, if you take 100 historians and you ask them what started World War I guarantee you they're all going to start arguing with each other, because it's just so confusing on, you know, who was in the right and who was in the wrong. My opinion, I think that in World War I think they were all bad. It was a bunch of greedy monarchies and a bunch of greedy empires. The reason they were all declaring war on each other, the alliances were part of it, but the main reason is because they wanted colonies and empires from each other, so they wanted to steal land from each other. That's ultimately what the World War I was. It was a giant, you know, power and land grab by all these different empires. Germany, the Ottomans, the Italians, the Hungarians, the French, the British, the Russians, all of these guys, all they wanted is empire, ultimately. Where in World War II, people were defending themselves in World War II. But in World War I, people ultimately, wanted, empire and land. There are a few countries that are more innocent than others in World War I, like Belgium. Belgium didn't really attack anybody in World War I. They got attacked by Germany, and also Poland. Poland, also in World War I, Poland was partitioned between Germany, Austria, Hungary, and Russia. And so you had Polish people that were in the armies of the Austrian-Hungarian army, the German army, and the Russian army, and they'd kill each other. And so that's how messed up, Poland was during World War I. And the Ottomans wanted to regain control of southeastern Europe. That's ultimately why the Ottomans had joined the war there. But they were all just bad. It was just a confusing war. And then Edgar Ross retires after a lifetime of government service. Agent Edgar Ross, a government official who spent the past 7 years stationed in Blackwater federal jurisdiction over all of West Elizabeth, has retired. Among many other achievements, Mr. Ross is credited with eradicating native unrest in the region and eliminating some of the West's most wanted and dangerous criminals, including Bill Williamson, Dutch Vanderlyn, Javier Escuela, and John Marston, collectively known as Dutch Vanderlyn's gang. That's not true. He was honored with medals for outstanding service to his country, distinguished career, and exceptional valor in the field of duty. Mr. Ross and his loving wife, Emily, have moved out to a cabin by Lake Don Julio in Cholla Springs, New Austin, to enjoy their twilight years together. So John Marston wasn't in Dutch's gang at the end. He helped. So the newspapers lied about it. It covered for Edgar Ross. Treasure found. Local man Seth Briers walked out of the mountains and tall trees and into Blackwater with a massive haul of gold and precious stones that he has apparently spent years of his life pursuing. Mr. Briers, who was once known associate of Moses Forth, denies any connection to famous New Austin grave robbings by which Mr. Forth terrorized the dead in that region 3 years ago. So Seth becomes rich. He actually does end up finding a treasure. He's one of the few characters that has a good ending. Landon Ricketts dead. Another piece of the Old West died last week with news that legendary gunman Landon Ricketts passed away quietly in his sleep. Mr. Ricketts, famous for his involvement in the Blackwater Massacre of 1899 and for the deaths of the Butcher Brothers in 1896, returned to the U.S. 3 years ago after living for many years in Mexico. He's rumored to have been writing an autobiography at the time of his death, but the book was never made available for publishing. Amongst the legendary shooters of the West, Mr. Ricketts was considered to be one of the fastest draws, although he was also dogged by rumors that one of his most famous victories, when he shot and killed Johnny West, was won by shooting his opponent in the back. Shocking report claims cocaine is bad for health. Yeah, you actually could buy cocaine at the pharmacy in this time period. Anthropologist turned savage Yale professor Harold McDougall has been expelled from the university following a drunken brawl with fellow academic Lionel Fortisk. So I'm going to have more of these. I'm going to have a video explaining what ended up happening to all the characters, but you are able to see a lot of the characters, how their stories end. President Reyes denies he is a tyrant despite massacre. Following last month's bloody massacre in a small town south of Mexico City in which thousands were shot by troops while peacefully protesting the government, Reyes has spoken out to deny rumors that he is a tyrant who has reneged on promises to bring to Mexico. Mr. Reyes argued that although the path to democratic rule has been slower than he would have liked, progress was still being made. at the time, same time, he pointed out that the ornate new presidential palace was proof that Mexicans could work effectively to get things done together. Plans for a concert hall and other civic buildings remain in place. Mr. Reyes also denied reports of widespread starvation in the country and said he believed Mexico was on the point of entering a new golden age. So Reyes is corrupt. Reyes ends up becoming the new dictator of Mexico, and that's, you know, the characters in Red Dead Redemption, like you have General Sanchez. General Sanchez is mentioned, he's not seen, but he's the dictator of Mexico. General Sanchez is a parody off of General Diaz, who was the dictator of Mexico during the revolution. And after the revolution, there was actually a few revolutions in Mexico, because a few of the people that actually came to power in the Mexican Revolution did not keep their promises. And so they ended up becoming dictators as well. And so Reyes is a parody of those corrupt leaders during the Mexican Revolution. So that is, that's pretty much it, guys. I know I spent a little bit of time on the, newspapers there, but I wanted to give you guys, I wanted to show you guys a little closing of a few of the character stories there. So I will have a video on the, doing all the stranger missions, and I'll have another lore video explaining what ended up happening to the characters and their backstories in the end. So thank you guys for watching. I hope that you guys enjoyed this series, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Take care, everyone. Have a wonderful day, guys.